First, I guess, infrastructure bill and the macro markets. It seems like the stock market's still hovering at all-time highs. This infrastructure bill was just passed, and there's talk of Powell being replaced.
So, it's kind of interesting. On the one hand, you've got, this infrastructure bill, which is, kind of more government spending, which, of course, boosts the economy and, just kind of increases the circulation of the money supply. And it's kind of just an extension of the overall policies, which have, really benefited the stock market so much since COVID. On the monetary policy side, you've got, as you mentioned, talk of Powell being replaced as Fed chair. And I think one of the main concerns of the Biden administration is just not letting inflation kind of get away. And I think in the short term, things are okay, but longer term, I could see it, kind of breaking down.
True, inflation makes stock prices higher, but also the increased earnings efficiency of these companies through technology makes the stocks thrive as well. We'll always be talking about interest rates being risen soon or whatnot, but I think they're never going to go above like 2%. I guess we'll move on to like Rocket Lab here, and they had their earnings report.
With the company just at this stage of growth that they're in, their earnings matter to some extent, but I think the much more important driver is just kind of the, overall growth narrative that they acquired this company, Planetary Systems Corp. The things that I think really strengthened the long-term narrative, the biggest one in my mind was crazy growth in backlog there. So that was, I think, really indicative of the demand that they're seeing. One of the other takeaways I have is that Peter Beck, he's actually trying to kind of just make progress as fast as possible. Kind of this ruthless efficiency that we talked about on that space industry roundtable.
It's almost like they're building a conglomerate of space services that they're putting together. Peter Beck continues to impress me. So it's still early days, and that awareness is still not really there. Peter Beck said there's a lot of product to move, basically a ton of launches to do in 2022. And so I'm excited to see the awareness that really picks up.
Rocket Lab does have its own services that it's aiming to be able to provide. In order to really do that, you need to be vertically integrated, and you need to have a very strong technical capability at low launch cost. And Rocket Lab is doing those things. My sense is all boats are going to rise within this industry.
So let's move on to Tesla. It's nice to stay above $1,000 convincingly right now. The price action, a lot of it's a result of Elon selling pieces of his ownership a day at a time.
Relative to what's been disclosed right now, I think he's targeting to close around 17 million shares. Whenever we get to the point where, we get that confirmation that Elon is done, I think there's going to be a pretty strong rebound.
There's very early indications here that, delivery numbers and production are going to be exceptionally strong for the fourth quarter. If this melt up continues to new all-time highs in the macro markets, I don't see how Tesla does not also reach new all-time highs.
People are missing the fact that China's reportedly, kind of going at a run rate of, well over 600,000 vehicles a year, which is, really encouraging.
And then you also have so many other things just on the verge of becoming a huge catalyst. Full self-driving beta 10.4 just came out. Any day now, I feel like there's going to be reports of trucks being exported of Model Ys from Giga Austin. Then 4680 battery cell production coming online any month now. There's so many great things about to happen. A lot of people come here to kind of get options ideas, and we don't do any fancy options. We do sometimes, but mostly we just buy calls or buy puts, try to magnify return. I think one of the biggest points of friction is the fact that, when they need to meet customers in person, it's problematic because of the tight measures that New Zealand has on COVID. We were talking about before, I think equities in general, is a good investment against inflation.
I think there's going to be different pockets of inflation, though. 5-10 years from now, the Tesla bot will be creating downward pressure on wages. But I think Tesla is definitely a good kind of investment if you're concerned about inflation. Yeah, I mean, it's the first day they're traded, so implied volatility is going to be really high right now. Anytime like the max you can make on a put is like 5x, I'm going to stay away from it.
I'd say it's close to 50-50 that Tesla is going to run up after Elon. Not even after he announces he's done, but when market participants, institutional buyers and sellers and portfolio managers, traders, when they all kind of come to a consensus that it's close to being done. But I think there's a good chance there's a really fast, nice run up in Tesla stock